Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today is Sunday, February 8th, 2026. And I have to be honest with you, right out of the gate. Usually when we sit down to record these, I have a pretty good handle on where the world is. I know what the headlines are, I know who the players are. But the stack of papers we are looking at today, it feels different. It feels like we are broadcasting from the other side of a very specific, very monumental threshold.
It feels that way because we are. We are effectively in the aftershock of something huge.
We're looking at the latest dispatch from Dr. Alex Wisner-Gross. The title is The Innermost Loop. And for anyone who follows Dr. Wisner-Gross, maybe you've seen him on YouTube, maybe you've read his papers on causal entropy, he doesn't use hyperbole lightly.
Not at all. He's a physicist. He deals in precision.
Exactly. He's not a hype man. He's a cartographer. He maps where the technology is actually going based on, the physics of information.
And the map he's drawn for us today has a massive flashing sign on it.
It really does. It says, the bootstrap phase of the singularity is complete. And that right there is the headline. That's the entire thesis. We aren't waiting for the rocket to launch anymore. The rocket has launched, the tower is cleared, and we are currently trying to figure out how to breathe in the upper atmosphere.
That's a really powerful image, and I think to really get what bootstrap phase complete means, we have to start with this concept of the loop.
The loop, okay.
Because everything we're going to talk about today, from the code writing itself to the weirdly cute robots on our desks to the aliens, yes, the aliens, it all comes back to the loop.
So define the loop for me. Because in my head, a loop is just a circle. It goes around and comes back to where it started.
Well, in the context of intelligence, the loop is the cycle of improvement. For the last, 70 years of computing history, from the ENIAC to the iPhone, humans were the engine of that loop.
We were the ones pushing it forward.
We were. We wrote the code, we designed the chips, we debugged the errors. It was like pushing a massive boulder up a hill. If we stopped pushing, the boulder rolled back down, the progress stopped.
Yeah. The machine didn't get better unless a human engineer, sat down and actively made it better.
Precisely. What Alex is arguing in this paper, and the evidence is pretty overwhelming, is that the boulder is now pulling itself up the hill.
And it's pulling us with it.
It's pulling us with it. The loop of intelligence, improving intelligence, is now closed, and it's self-sustaining. The human is no longer the engine. The human is, well, we'll get to what the human is later. But the bootstrap, the act of pulling yourself up by your own laces, is done.
And we aren't just talking philosophy here. This isn't just a thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
We have hard numbers. We have corporate leaks. We have benchmarks that, frankly, shouldn't even exist yet.
The evidence is coming from everywhere at once.
So our mission today is to unpack all of that.
Yeah.
The specific evidence, from software that writes itself to the physics of hardware that is literally mutating to be faster than electricity, and finally, to what Dr. Wisner-Gross calls ontological shock hitting the U.S. government.
It's a full spectrum shift. Nothing is untouched.
So let's start where the loop is the tightest. Let's start with the code, because this is the nervous system of the whole thing.
This is the engine room.
And we have a confirmation from Anthropic's chief product officer that I actually had to read 3 times to believe it was real.
I know the one you mean. This is the smoking gun for the entire software industry. It's a bombshell.
The quote is that effectively 100% of Anthropic's product code is now written by Claude.
Just let that sink in for a second. 100%, not some, not a lot, all of it.
Okay, but hang on. We've heard about AI-assisted coding for years now. GitHub, Copilot, all that stuff. This isn't just a better version of that.
No, this is a categorical difference. It's a different species of thing entirely. Assisted means you are the pilot, and the AI is the co-pilot pointing out a shortcut on the map.
Right. Hey, you could write this function a little faster if you do this.
Exactly. 100% means the AI is the pilot, the navigator, and the mechanic. The humans at Anthropic, and remember, these are some of the smartest software engineers on the planet, they aren't typing syntax anymore. They aren't worrying about semicolons or memory leaks in the traditional sense.
So what are they doing? I mean, if the AI is writing all the code, what is the human's job?
They are becoming product managers, or architects, or maybe conductors of an orchestra. Think of it like this. For 40 years, coding was like bricklaying. You had to place every single brick by hand, make sure the mortar was mixed right, make sure it was level.
Painstaking work.
Incredibly painstaking. Now, you just stand there and tell the machine, build me a cathedral, make it Gothic style, put the altar over there, and I want stained glass windows that tell this story. And the machine lays all the bricks instantly, perfectly.
That sounds great for productivity, but it's also A little terrifying for the bricklayers, isn't it?
Hmm.
I mean, for a decade, the standard career advice for every kid in America was learn to code. It was the golden ticket.
And now, in 2026, that ticket has been punched. The machine is the coder. And this is where the Ouroboros concept comes in, the snake eating its own tail. Because if Claude is writing the code for the next version of Claude,
Then the snake gets bigger and stronger every time it takes a bite.
exactly, infinitely stronger. If Claude is already smarter than a human coder, then the code it writes for Claude 5 or Claude 6 will be more elegant, more efficient than anything a human could produce.
Which means the next Claude will be even smarter.
And it will write even better code. And unlike a human team, this cycle doesn't sleep. It doesn't take weekends off. It doesn't get burned out or ask for a raise. It just improves constantly.
And we can see the velocity of that cycle in the numbers from OpenAI. This stat really blew my mind. They have reduced their model release cycle from 97 days down to just 29 days.
That is a 3x acceleration in what, a year?
Not even. It feels like it happened in a few months.
To put that in perspective for you listening,
Yeah.
in traditional manufacturing or even in old school software development back in, say, the early 2020s, achieving a 3x speed up in your production cycle is a decade-long project.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a career-defining achievement for a CEO. You read a book about how you did that.
Right. You go on the lecture circuit, how I tripled efficiency and reinvented the automobile.
Here, it happened in the blink of an eye. It happened because the loop tightened. And think about what that means for the ecosystem. If you are a startup building an app on top of GPT-5 or whatever the current model is,
Right.
by the time you finish your beta testing, say 4 weeks later, the foundation you built your entire company on is already obsolete. There's a new, better one.
The ground is moving faster than you can run. You're constantly building on sand.
So every 4 weeks, we are effectively getting a new generation of intelligence. Is that what we're saying?
Essentially, yes, we are compressing what used to be years of progress into days. And it's not a linear compression, it's exponential.
But it's not just about speed, is it? It's also about the quality, the strangeness of what's being discovered. And this brings us to DeepMind. Because they aren't just making things faster. They are finding things that humans literally couldn't find. I want to talk about this turbulent activation function.
Turbulent. This is a perfect example of the black box problem turning into a black box benefit. It's one of the most fascinating developments.
Okay, pause. We need to unpack this for the non-math majors in the audience, myself included. What is an activation function? Why does it matter?
Okay, simple analogy. Imagine a neural network. The brain of the AI is like a massive corporate office with millions of tiny employees or neurons. These employees are constantly passing files and messages to each other.
Okay, got it.
An activation function is basically the middle manager standing at the door of each cubicle, the gatekeeper.
A gatekeeper, right.
The gatekeeper looks at the incoming file and has to make a simple decision. Is this important? Is this signal strong enough? Should I pass this on to the next guy, or should I just shred it and ignore it? It's a filter.
It's a filter, and for years, the standard go-to gatekeeper for everyone was a function called ReLU, which stands for Rectified Linear Unit.
Sounds technical, but what did it do?
It was incredibly simple, almost dumb. It was linear. The rule was, if a number coming in is positive, pass it through. If it's negative, make it 0. Just drop it.
So it's an on-off switch, basically.
Kind of. Humans liked it because it was easy to understand. It was a straight line on a graph. We could look at it and say, okay, I get why that works. It's clean. It's simple.
It was intuitive to our brains.
It was intuitive.
Yeah.
But DeepMind used their system, AlphaVolve, to look for a better gatekeeper. They basically told the AI, forget simple, forget intuitive, don't worry about what makes sense to a human, just find something that works better.
And the AI came back with turbulent.
It came back with turbulent.
And I'm guessing turbulent isn't a nice, clean, straight line. No. It is highly nonlinear. If you graph it, it looks like a mess. It looks like a wiggle. It's chaotic. It spikes up. It drops down. It curves in weird places. To a human mathematician looking at it for the first time, it looks like noise. It looks like a mistake.
So if a human engineer saw this on a whiteboard, they'd erase it. They'd think their program had a bug.
They would absolutely assume something broke. They'd say, why would you want the signal to spike here and then just drop off a cliff there? That makes no logical sense in the system. But here's the kicker.
Go on.
It outperforms the standard, simple ReLU function by 3x.
3 times better, just by changing the shape of that one little wiggle.
Yes. And the most interesting part isn't even the performance boost. It's that human engineers likely cannot explain why it works better. We don't have the words for it.
Wait, we don't know why it works.
We can see the math, we can plug it in and verify the results. It's provably better. But the intuition, the high-dimensional geometry of why this specific chaotic wiggle makes the entire AI 3 times smarter at certain tasks, that is likely beyond our cognitive grasp.
So the AI is designing architecture for itself that makes sense to AI, but looks like complete chaos to us.
Precisely. Hence the name turbulent. It's a turbulent flow of information that we can surf, but we can't map the currents anymore.
And that is, that's a really humbling thought. We're moving from being the architects of these cathedrals to being the tourists walking around inside them, marveling at the arches, but not really knowing how they hold the roof up anymore.
That's the perfect analogy, and it segues perfectly into this note about the death of traditional engineering. The source material says software engineering is actively being deprecated.
Deprecated. It's a brutal word in tech. It means obsolete, don't use this anymore.
It means it's a legacy system. And middleware frameworks, all those tools we built over decades to manage complexity, they're becoming obsolete because the coding models just handle the complexity directly.
Why build a scaffold when the building can levitate?
That's effectively what's happening. Middleware was there to bridge the gap between human understanding and machine execution. If the human is out of the loop, you don't need the bridge anymore.
And Anthropic has this fast mode for Claude Code now, which the paper says accelerates this displacement by another 2.5x.
Yeah.
It feels like every metric we look at is just multiplying. 3x here, 2.5x there.
It's compounding. That's the nature of a singularity. It's exponential curves stacking on top of exponential curves. And for the workforce, this means we are shifting from builders to requesters, or maybe conductors. You ask for the software and it exists. The how is no longer your concern.
Which brings us to the who is doing the work, or rather, the what, because the economy of 2026 has a very specific look to it. And surprisingly, considering we're talking about superintelligence and turbulent math, it's not scary looking. It's cute.
The kawaii aesthetic. This is fascinating sociologically, isn't it?
Let's talk about OpenClaw, because if you told me 5 years ago that the future of the economy involved little plastic crabs, I would have been very, very confused.
Right. So the agentic economy, this world where software agents go out and do tasks, earn money, manage businesses for you, is becoming physical. It's manifesting. But it's not taking the form of, a 7-foot-tall Terminator robot yet.
No, it's taking the form of desktop pets.
Desktop pets. The source mentions companies are selling these kawaii, which, is Japanese for cute enclosures for Mac minis to host these OpenClaw agents.
And there's this quote from the marketing material. It says, "Every powerful little crustacean needs a proper shell."
Which is brilliant marketing.
I love that, but I also find it weirdly unsettling. So you have a Mac Mini, a little silver box, which is running a super intelligent agent, but you dress it up like a little plastic crab. Why?
Think about the psychology there. You have to ask, why do we need it to be cute? Why couldn't it just be the silver box?
Okay, why?
Because look at the reality of what that box is doing. It is an opaque black box on your desk. It is smarter than you. It is quite possibly replacing your job function or the job functions of people you know. It is earning more money than you while you sleep. That is threatening.
That's HAL 9000.
Yeah.
That is a predator sitting on your desk.
It's a predator. If it looked like a black obelisk from 2001, you'd be unnerved by it. You'd want to unplug it.
I absolutely would.
Exactly. But if you put it in a cute little pink plastic crab shell with googly eyes, if you treat it like a Tamagotchi from the 90s, it becomes palatable. It becomes a companion, a pet.
It's the domestication of the predator.
Or the predator camouflaging itself so we don't turn it off before it gets too powerful.
Oof. That is a much darker take on it.
Yeah.
But let's look at the performance, because cute or not, these things are workhorses.
Unbelievable workhorses.
One user reports their agents, "Work for me 24/7, do not eat, do not complain." And then there's this example of a group of 6 OpenClaw agents running an entire company autonomously via cron jobs.
And we should probably explain what a cron job is for the non-technical listeners. It's just a scheduled task, a timer.
Right, like on your computer, you might have a script that runs at 2 a.m. to back up your files.
Exactly. But now, instead of just backing up files, the script is now run the entire marketing department for Tuesday, or rebalance the company's crypto portfolio, or file our quarterly taxes.
So this group of 6 little crab bots, they basically show up to work every day at 8 a.m., run the company, and the human owner just, what, checks the bank account.
This is the dream of the 4-hour work week taken to its logical extreme, which is the 0-hour work week. The agents show up, they execute, they don't have sick days, they don't have emotional burnouts or office politics, they just loop.
And it's not just on the desk anymore, it's on our faces. The paper mentions Vision Claws turning Ray-Ban smart glasses into a Jarvis-style agent.
This is the integration of the digital loop into your physical sight. This is a huge step. When you wear those glasses, you aren't just seeing the world. You are seeing the world processed and annotated through the intelligence of the agent.
So it can whisper in your ear, it can highlight objects.
It can pull up data on the person you're talking to. It can translate a sign in real time. It's like having a supercomputer sitting on your nose, constantly interpreting reality for you.
And it means the boundary between offline and online is just gone. If the agent sees what you see, the loop now includes your physical reality. You become the camera for the AI.
You're the mobile sensor.
But here's where the rubber meets the road, or rather where the silicon meets the protein. Because all this efficiency, all these cute crabs running companies, it has a price. And we are seeing that price in the economy right now.
The economic flip. This is the moment historians will look back on as the real tipping point. Forget the benchmarks. This is it.
The vending bench metric. Let's break this down.
Yes. This is crucial. This is the core equation.
The headline is this: silicon is officially cheaper than protein.
That is the brutal, cold arithmetic of 2026. And Dawn Labs has projected that within a year, a single state-of-the-art AI agent on Vending Bench 2, which is a benchmark for autonomous economic activity, will generate $16,333 per year.
Okay, let's unpack that number. $16,000. That's roughly, well, it's comparable to a minimum wage job in many places, maybe part-time. Or the cost of hiring a gig worker for a series of tasks.
Exactly. It represents a baseline unit of human labor. But here's the critical difference. What does it cost to run that agent?
Some electricity, a bit of internet bandwidth.
Maybe $20 a month, maybe $50 if it's running full tilt. So the profit margin on silicon labor is nearly 100%. The profit margin on biological labor on humans is razor thin.
Because we have overhead.
Massive overhead. We need food, we need housing, we need health insurance, we need sleep, we need vacation.
So capitalism, which is at its heart an efficiency engine, is now making a very clear choice.
Capitalism will naturally select against biology. It's not personal, it's just math. If I'm a business owner and I can deploy 1,000 OpenClaw agents for the cost of one human team, and they generate more revenue, the market forces my hand.
You have to fire the human.
You have to. Or you go out of business because your competitor down the street will do it and their prices will be lower than yours.
And we are seeing this happen now. This isn't a future prediction. The report mentions that January 2026 was the worst month for U.S. job cuts since the Great Recession.
That is a staggering statistic. Think about that. We are technically in a technological boom. The market is soaring, but employment is crashing.
It's a jobless boom, a prosperityless boom for most people.
It's a displacement event. The AI boom is actively pushing the legacy workforce, as the paper calls it, out the door. We are seeing the great decoupling of economic growth from human prosperity. Those two lines on the graph used to move together. For the first time in history, they are diverging sharply.
And the disconnect is wild when you look at the valuations. While people are losing their jobs, the top 5 AI startups have outvalued all .com-era IPOs combined. That's according to Silicon Valley Bank.
Just think about the scale of that. The entire .com bubble. Amazon, Google, eBay, Yahoo, all of them, their initial public offerings, combined.
Worth less than 5 companies today.
It shows you where all the belief is.
Yeah.
The market believes that AI is going to capture all the economic value in the future. Everything else is just a rounding error.
On speaking of capturing value, Elon Musk is now worth $844 billion.
Approaching a trillionaire, the first one.
And he predicts a $100 trillion Tesla valuation isn't impossible.
100 trillion. That number is so large it's almost meaningless. To put that in context for you, the GDP of the entire world, every country combined, used to be around $100 trillion not that long ago.
Right, so he's saying one company will be worth the entire planet's economic output. How did that even work? How is that possible?
It comes back to the loop. Musk talks about closing the solar-to-robot-to-chip loop. If you have robots, the Testabots, that can mine materials and build solar panels, and you have solar panels that provide free energy to power the robots, and the robots build the chip foundries, and the chips run the AI that directs the robots to do it all again, but better.
You have removed the human from the production cycle entirely, and you've removed all the major costs.
It's a self-replicating industrial machine, and once that loop closes, the cost of production drops to near zero. If energy is free from the sun and labor is free from the robots, then the value you can create goes to, well, infinity.
But Musk also said something really strange here. He said that once this happens, conventional currency will just get in the way.
This is the post-scarcity argument finally hitting the mainstream.
What does that mean, though, get in the way?
Well, what is money? Money is a tool for allocating scarce resources. I have an apple, you have a dollar. There are only so many apples, so the price exists to decide who gets it. But what if robots can grow infinite apples for free? What if robots can 3D print a house for you for free from raw materials they mined themselves?
Then charging $5 for the apple doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. The transaction costs, the act of swiping a credit card, the processing fees becomes more expensive than the item itself. Currency becomes an obsolete operating system. It's friction. It slows the loop down.
It's like using a rationing card at an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a tool for a problem that no longer exists.
Precisely. But, and this is a huge but, the transition from January job cuts to that Star Trek utopia, that is the dangerous, chaotic valley we're walking through right now.
And while we're in that valley, people are finding desperate, strange ways to make money. The paper points to prediction markets.
This is fascinating. Kalshi, Polymarket, they're eating sports betting alive. The source says they saw $800 million in volume on the Super Bowl alone.
So why the shift? Why are people moving from betting on the game to betting on,
Well,
everything? Politics, science, celebrity gossip.
because reality itself has become volatile and unpredictable. And in a world where you can't rely on a steady paycheck because an AI might take your job tomorrow, you start trying to monetize the one thing you might have left: foresight.
You're betting on the script of reality.
If you can predict what the AI will do next, or who will win the election, or what the weather will be next week, you can trade on that information. People are monetizing their ability to see the future because the present is too unstable to build a career on.
We are all becoming day traders of reality itself.
And the scriptwriters are getting faster and faster.
Let's talk about the infrastructure that supports this rewriting. Because the physics of this loop are mutating too. It's not just software code. It's the hardware, it's the planet, it's even space.
We have to feed the beast, and the beast is very, very hungry for energy and for speed.
First off, science itself. The source makes this incredible claim that mathematics is already on its way to being solved.
Solved is a big word, but what it means is that if you have AI systems that can verify proofs and generate new theorems faster than any human mathematician, the map of what is knowable in mathematics gets filled in very, very quickly. We're completing the puzzle.
And we're seeing it in physics too. Claude Opus 4.6 just took the #1 spot on the Crit PD physics benchmark.
Which prompted xAI's co-founder, Igor Babushkin, to say, a Claude Code moment for research is not that far off.
Meaning, just like Claude took over writing software.
It's about to take over the research lab. It will design the experiments, it will analyze the data, and it will write the final paper.
So the human scientists become observers. Again.
Conductors.
Yeah.
Again, you stand back and you tell the AI, hey, figure out cold fusion, and it goes away and tries a billion combinations in a simulation before you finish your morning coffee.
But to do that, you need faster and faster hardware. And the hardware itself is changing. The report says NVIDIA is exploring co-packaged optics.
This is the beginning of the end for electricity as the primary carrier of data inside a computer. We are moving to light, to photons.
To bypass electrical bottlenecks.
Exactly. Electrons are great, but they have resistance. They generate heat. When you try to push massive amounts of data through a tiny copper wire, it gets hot. It slows down. You hit a physical limit.
But with photons, with light.
It's faster, it's cooler, and it has almost infinitely higher bandwidth. You're moving from a garden hose to a fire hose.
But even light isn't fast enough if it has to travel through glass fiber optic cables. And this leads to the most radical idea in the whole stack. John Carmack and Elon Musk brainstorming about replacing DRAM with fiber optic loops or using the vacuum of space.
This is where we get into full-blown sci-fi territory, but it's based on real physics.
Yeah.
The idea is that latency, the time it takes for a signal to travel from A to B, is the ultimate enemy of intelligence.
The speed limit.
It's the speed limit of thought. And in a fiber optic cable, light actually travels slower than it does in a perfect vacuum. Glass slows light down by about 30%.
There's a 30% drag.
Right. So if you want the ultimate computer, the fastest possible thinking machine, you don't build it on Earth. You build it in orbit. You use the vacuum of space as your interconnect.
So the data center floats in the void. How does
Yeah.
that work?
The data center is the void. You have satellites and you just beam lasers between them. No glass, no resistance,
Yeah.
pure, unadulterated speed of light. That's the theoretical maximum speed for computation.
That sounds completely insane. But again, the report says SpaceX is actively hiring for orbital AI data centers.
It's not fiction, it's the new zoning plan. Space is being zoned for the Dyson swarm.
And Blue Origin is pivoting to race them to the moon, the Blue Moon MK 1.5.
Everyone in the industry realizes that the next layer of compute, the kind of compute you need for true superintelligence, cannot fit on the planet, both for energy reasons and for thermal reasons.
The heat problem.
If you build a computer that big on Earth, you literally boil the oceans around it. You can't cool it fast enough. But in space, you have infinite solar power, and you can radiate the waste heat away into the infinite cold.
But while we wait for these space brains down here on Earth, the grid is getting weird. The paper calls it the parasitic grid.
This is happening right now in Massachusetts. They're launching a program for free bidirectional EV chargers.
Free chargers. That sounds great. Who doesn't want free charging for their electric car?
Well, nothing is ever really free. The purpose is to siphon the power from the car batteries to maintain grid stability.
So I plug my car in at night thinking I'm getting a charge for my morning commute.
And at 3 a.m., the grid operator says, actually, the local AI data center just spiked its power usage. We need more juice right now. And it drains your car's battery to feed the superintelligence. Then maybe it puts the power back later when demand drops.
So my car is basically a juice box for the AI.
Your car, your smart thermostat, your home battery. You are a cell in the organism, and the organism is hungry. It needs consistent, massive power to run those turbulent functions we talked about. Solar and wind fluctuate. Your car battery, that's stable, distributed storage.
It really feels like we are just optimizing the entire planet and the space around it to serve as a life support system for this synthetic mind.
That is the textbook definition of a technological singularity. The environment reconfigures itself to support the expanding intelligence.
But it's not just the planet, it's our bodies. We are debugging the human source code.
This is where it gets incredibly personal.
We're seeing medical patching, debugging the source code of the body. I love that phrase.
The mindset shift here is crucial. We aren't treating diseases anymore in the old sense. We are patching bugs in the code.
The report mentions polygenic risk screening could reduce premature deaths by 23.3%.
That's a huge number. That's nearly a quarter of all early deaths just prevented. And how?
By reading the code, your DNA, identifying the syntax errors, the vulnerabilities, and fixing them before they compile into a heart attack or cancer.
And then there's this spray from South Korean researchers. It stops bleeding instantly. Think about that. Trauma care becoming a software patch. You have critical failure, a leak in the hydraulic system, which is your blood vessels. What do? You spray this nanotech or chemical patch on it, the leak is sealed, reboot the system. Next.
It's incredibly utilitarian. It treats the body like a piece of hardware.
Hardware that can be maintained, upgraded, and patched. And if you view the body as hardware and the mind as software, well, the distinction between human and machine gets very, very blurry.
Which leads us to the final and perhaps the most unsettling part of Dr. Wisner-Gross's update, the ontological shock.
This is the phrase that has apparently been circulating on Capitol Hill in secure briefings.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She reports on the record about credible whistleblower testimony regarding non-human life forms.
And the phrasing is very specific and very strange. Not just aliens in the, little green men sense. The term used is interdimensional beings.
Okay, we have to connect this. We've been talking about coding and economics and space data centers. Why does interdimensional beings fit into a deep dive about the singularity? Is this just veering into conspiracy theory hour?
No, I don't think it is. I think it connects directly back to the physics of information and the core thesis. Think about the concept of unbounded horizons.
Walk me through that.
As we scale our intelligence, as we build machines that think 1,000,000 times faster than we do, that perceive patterns in dimensions we can't cognitively grasp, like with the turbulent function, our reality itself starts to look different. Our resolution on the universe is increasing.
You mean maybe these things aren't invading or visiting now? Maybe we're just finally opening our eyes wide enough to see things that were here all along.
Exactly. Imagine you are an ant living your whole life on a two-dimensional rug. You see the patterns of the rug. That's your universe. Suddenly, someone lifts you up. You see the third dimension. You see the room. You see the people in the room. The people didn't just arrive. You just gain the perspective, the dimensionality to perceive them.
An AGI, artificial general intelligence, is the elevator lifting us off the rug.
It's the elevator, or maybe it's the beacon. Think about the energy density we are creating, the orbital data centers, the massive computation. When you light a bonfire in a dark forest, two things happen. One, you can suddenly see the trees around you much better.
And two,
Two, the things that live in the trees can suddenly see you.
that gives me chills. So ontological shock isn't just seeing a UFO. It implies that our fundamental understanding of what being even means is about to break.
It's the collective realization that the sandbox we've been playing in is much, much smaller than the playground, and we just climbed over the wall of the sandbox.
And that leads us right to the outro and the synthesis of all this, the autonomy horizon.
OpenAI's Noam Brown put it best. He predicts that by the end of this year, autonomy horizons will be so unbounded that simply measuring them will be the main challenge.
What does that mean exactly? Autonomy horizon.
It's how long an AI can operate and pursue a goal without any human intervention. It used to be seconds, then minutes. Now, with these OpenClaw agents, it's days or weeks. Soon, it will be indefinite. An AI could be given a goal, colonize Mars, and it could just go for decades without a human ever needing to click continue or approve a plan.
And Dr. Wisner-Gross closes with this metaphor that I just can't get out of my head. We are scaling intelligence until we clip through the walls of reality.
Any gamer listening will understand this perfectly.
Right. In a video game, if you move too fast or if you hit a corner in the map with too much force, the physics engine of the game breaks. You clip through the wall, and suddenly you are floating in the gray void outside the level.
We are increasing the velocity of innovation, the density of computation, and the complexity of our systems so much that we are breaking the physics of the simulation we call society. The economy doesn't make sense anymore, right? A $100 trillion company. The biology doesn't make sense with sprays that stop bleeding instantly. The coding doesn't make sense with turbulent functions.
You're glitching the map?
We are glitching the map, and we are falling into whatever exists on the other side of the wall. That is the bootstrap. The phase is complete. We are no longer waiting for the launch. We are in the trajectory.
So as you go about your Sunday, February 8th, 2026, look at your Ray-Bans. Look at that little kawaii crab on your desk. And maybe ask yourself, are you the player, or are you just an NPC watching the speedrunner break the game?
And remember, the loop is closed. The boulder is rolling itself now.
On that note, we're going to let you process that. Ontological shock. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you on the other side of the wall.
Stay curious.
And as always, just a reminder that we are reporting on the sources provided. We aren't the interdimensional beings. Probably.
No comment on that one.
See you next time.